Ethan.
Welcome
Hi.
to another episode of Tzuzamen.
Right. Hi, Tilly.
Tzili.
Hi. And
Yes.
everybody knows what we are doing here. We are doing here trying to inspire ourselves, but also get inspiration from other people, so we can grow and broaden our mind and get new ideas. And today, you to really take us somewhere else, especially that you are at the age of my graduate students, more or less, right? Around 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
they keep coming and they keep getting younger, 18, 17, and I keep.
No, they grow older and you're getting younger.
I am getting
That's
younger.
the idea.
So
That's your bottom line of the course.
to introduce our
Right.
beloved guest.
Good morning, Adam. Adam Gabay, a
Hi.
very young actor from Israel.
Right.
Now
Not only
from Israel, now in New York.
now doing
Back and
what?
forth. And Adam I think everybody knows Adam from HBO series Our Boys. And then he participated the tour cast of the band's Visit, that is based on Israeli film, The Band's Visit,
Of Eran Kolirin.
of Eran Kolirin. And
What is
Adam
Kolirin?
can-
Kolirin.
Sorry, Kolirin. And Adam, please tell us a little bit, for those who don't know about Our Boys, and what took place, what was your part in it, and we'll take it from there.
Oh, yeah, that's always a tough question. But so Our Boys, it's an HBO limited series who based on actual events that happened in Israel in the summer of 2014. Three Jewish boys got kidnapped and later on killed by the Hamas. And in a revenge act, two cousins and their uncle kidnapped, burned, and killed and murdered another 16 years old boy. And then,
Palestinian.
oh, excuse me,
Palestinian
boy,
boy.
yeah, Arab boy. And then the war of summer 2014, we call it in Hebrew, Tzuk Eitan, started.
This was the previous retaliation with Gaza. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, the series is about, when people like ask me what's the series about. So I think that the series is about that, how come a 16 years old boy murder or participating in such an awful act against 60 other 16 years old boy only because he has a different religion than him.
You know, the series is basically brings together all the toughest extremist ingredients of life in the region. It's all about extremist actions, people that take part of it. And it's you in your role being also playing an extreme Orthodox guy
Mhm.
and a Jewish guy, and involved with the Palestinians, playing and acting with partners who are real Palestinians, talking about real matter, not a story. It really took place in Israel. At that young age, because this took place like 2 years ago,
More.
just as you got out of the army.
4 years or 3.
No.
The
When did you
shooting
film
was
it?
4 years old.
When did you film it?
So we shot it in 2018.
Okay, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I was still in the army.
You were still in the army.
Yeah.
How do you find yourself in all this mess emotionally? Whom do you feel that you're representing? How do you fall into a part like this as a citizen in the midst of all of it?
Yeah. Um that's a nice question. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, emotionally and mentally, and like, if you saw the show, you would know like that the character that I did, Avishai, is let's say, is very complex. we call it like that. And yeah, also I was in the middle. I was in the middle of the army service, and my parents just moved out from Israel to the States. So it's like, and then we started to film. So it's like a lot happened in a very short time, and it wasn't easy. And you ask who I represented. I think that I represented no one but the actual guy, Avishai. That is,
The
it's not his,
character.
it's not his real, yeah, it's not his real name, but there is a guy that is like
Mhm. Right.
99% from what you saw, that the actual guy. And I represented him and his complexity. And yeah, because in his situation, like the whole situation, I think, also with what's going on nowadays, but
Right.
all the time, and Avishai's case and everybody's case, I think it's not black and white. It's very
Of
complex.
course.
There
Yeah.
are so many layers,
Right.
so many layers. So yeah, I tried to do my best, and like to show this complexity of this guy, and like with his, he has clinic depressions, and he took pill and takes pills, and he stutter, and on and on and on, and on. He want to be in the yeshiva, but he can't because of his like kind of mental illness. And he wants to prove the people that he's really like he part of them, but he can't. But it's like it's very complicated, and I
So
It's
try.
how did
very
you,
hard. It's very hard to define loyalty because you need to be loyal to your part as an actor. You
to
need
the
to,
character?
and to the character, and to be loyal to the people that you present and to the people that you belong to.
No, why?
No, no, no.
As
Hold
an
on.
actor, no.
As
No,
an actor, no,
as
but
and
still,
as an actor,
no.
you can, as an actor, you can never
No,
judge your
of
part,
course.
Right.
your role. And like there were like when the show aired, almost 2 years ago. Wow, I was like, so people started to talk about this time and about all this story again, and like I found myself don't really have an opinion like Adam's opinion. I had like
Right.
his side of the story because I was so so into it. I saw this story. I saw this life through his eyes for 10 months of shooting and almost 6 months of rehearsals and long auditioning process. So it was like really so I can't, I can't judge him,
Yes,
and
you
like
shouldn't, and you shouldn't. But I have to ask, I just have first of all, just a little comment. While you were talking, right, about you had to go with the character and just what his mind is, I was reminded of me growing up in Israel, and really the whole country up to at least 67, we didn't ask questions. We grew up with certain narratives. This is what it is. We
With clear
believed in it,
picture.
and this is what we
where
internalized.
did you grow up?
Israel.
In Israel,
What do you
Tel
mean? In
Oh,
Aviv.
but
Square
where?
Dizengoff. In Square Dizengoff, both of us. Everybody knows it by now. However, this is
Oh,
not my question. My question is uh, two. One, well, let me just take it apart. You talked about layers and complexities. So you cannot, when the director talked with you, they cannot talk to you about all the layers. They have to, to start with one layer and then add another one and then add another one, right? You cannot just go, all of them together. So how did you take apart in terms of what was the through line of the character? What was the main need of the character? And really the most dominant layer in his behavior that you started with doesn't
yeah,
mean that this is what you ended with, but started with to build
yeah.
him up.
So what I started with, it's that we went to like we dressed up like with the company, with the production. We dressed up as yeshiva boys,
Okay.
and we went to yeshivas in Jerusalem, and we were just like walking
Everybody
there,
goes,
like yeah, like if people would ask me, I would say, yeah, I'm thinking of like לחזור בתשובה, to be more
More
religious.
Orthodox.
Yes, I'm like, okay, let's, and I'm checking what like I'm checking yeshivas and like, and also sometimes I remember his yeshiva when he was, so I was like, I had a fake identity. I said
So
the
the kids in the
name.
yeshiva didn't know that you're actors. They just thought that you're a new group of people that tried to become Orthodox.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And for
Wow.
me, I used this time in the yeshiva when we visited there to see, because Avishai, it's all starting with he really wants to be part of yeshiva.
Avisha is the name of your character in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
series.
yeah. He really want to be part of the yeshiva, or and you know, as a Sephardic boy, so he wants to prove that he can to be with the Ashkenazi yeshiva. It's like it's a another whole thing, and the most important thing is to be like a good yeshiva bucher, and to be smart, and to study
Torah.
Torah, and again and over and over. But because he's like mental illness and all of this thing, he he couldn't do it. He would go to the to the yeshiva that they were sleeping there the whole week, and he couldn't, just couldn't fall asleep. He was in a full-on anxiety 24/7.
So he had depression. That was his mental illness.
Yeah,
Depression.
yeah, separation, how do you, separation, חרדת נטישה, separation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Abandoned anxiety. Okay.
But yeah. And I think they call it separation something, but never mind. So anyway, so I tried the first thing that you asked. So the first thing, it was me walking in the yeshiva, trying to understand why I really want to be there, and why I just can't. Why why I'm like freaked out. Why I really want to be there but I just can't. So I tried to find the anxiety and the all the panic attacks that can evolve from being next to hundreds of men all dressed up the same, all doing the
Was
same
just doing
thing.
this, diving in.
So,
And
yeah,
satisfy the family and the grandfather,
Yes.
the
yeah,
rabbi. Yeah.
yeah. So that was the first layer.
So where did you tap into? You had to confront yourself. This is what you say.
Yeah.
So where did you tap into what chords that you could pull out? You know what? Because you could imagine being abandoned.
Um,
You know about anxiety. Um, where did you go just to find the right chords to express this?
yeah.
It can be intuitively, doesn't have to be rationally.
Yeah, no. I said, so I know, like I'm dealing with an anxiety from time to time,
Like
and
all of us.
you know, as all of us, and as like an sensitive person and artist and blah 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 blah. So and also because I'm a dramatic person, so I have this condition
And
of
you're a son of a dramatic father. His name is Adam Gabay, very famous
that.
actor.
That's
This is
right.
another dimension,
That's right.
right?
So we in the family, at least me and him, we can take small things and make them
Yeah,
bigger.
that's what makes life interesting, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
if you're not the mother,
right.
okay.
And so yeah, so like I'm dealing with anxiety, and I was like, it was I don't know, like it took months. Like I had a lot, like we prepared ourselves, so it was like 6 months or
Yes,
7 months.
you
It's
almost became,
crazy.
it is what actor like Robert De Niro is talking about it. Oh, a lot of family of big, real actors say that sometimes they walk around in the house for months and they are being the character and it's impossible.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
cannot tolerate it.
But
Yo, so
I want to take you out of the part for a second because I know that as an actor, you get into the character and you put yourself aside from real life and you become whom you become. But this is a big load personally in a very loaded region that things happen for real all the time.
Like
A
now.
young boy, like 20 years old at a time, and you need to somehow continue breathing and then step out of the character and then develop friendships with the fellow actors who are from the other side.
mm.
This is a very big load to take. How do you pass through this and how do you go back to everyday life after that and land into what we have now, which is another war
So
in
yeah,
the
and how it
region?
changed or didn't
This
change your
is really
perception.
So yeah, so I was in kind of a trance. I was like the character is stuttering. I was stutter like after the offset, like after the shooting time. I was dreaming his dreams. I was kind of in a circle. I was in a trance, and it wasn't easy. It
By the
wasn't
way,
easy.
it's as a name. It's transporting. I
Yeah,
made a feature film about a young girl that her mother is a Holocaust survivor, and she took over. The daughter took upon herself her mother's experience, and she thought she's an Holocaust survivor. It's not the same, but it is. It's called transporting.
yeah, yeah,
So absolutely, you took over. It took
y-
the character completely.
but
yeah.
in Israel, not only the young generation, everybody gets into situations that it's very hard to continue and bear if you compare to normal countries, with normal everyday of life. And the post-traumatic
All
situation
of us
is
are.
we
All
are
of us.
all injured. But if I think about the young generation that goes to the army, because we all stay there, but the soldiers really get to the first line. And I'm thinking about the soldiers who are, let's say, in the West Bank, that basically Israel puts them in a situation that it's almost inhuman to be in charge of civilians and populations and make decisions that even grown-ups, it's hard for them to,
Let alone
it's
18 years old.
almost death and life. um, it really interferes with the psyche of each one, and not everybody is built for that. And there's no surprise that many of the Israelis just get out of Israel for long journeys in the Far East, in in America, just to breathe a little bit and gain sanity.
Absolutely.
And
W-
you were straight from the army to the
No,
whole
in the army.
cooking pot of all this. Do you still keep in touch with your Palestinian actors friends today?
Yeah, absolutely. From
What
the
do you
start,
hear
yeah.
from them now these days?
No, we are now in the middle of the other, the next
Of the yeah?
clash with Gaza Strip is now for 2 weeks. So just to put it in context, when she
Right.
asked you, how do you feel now?
Yeah. Uh, I feel very, very confused and afraid. Obviously, I was supposed to come to New York for just 2 weeks to some meetings, and I landed here, took a little nap, woke up. There is a full-on war, like Tel Aviv and like the center of Israel or even the south was okay. Like you had all the things that went down in Sheikh Jarrah and like nearby, but then like
Mosque?
started and it was crazy. Yeah, of course, I talk to my Palestinian friends that I love and support, and I think all of us we are we are in a, sorry for my French, but we're in a shitty situation.
Yes, but
And yeah, and like we FaceTime, and like we are talking and we're supporting each other, and yeah, they we all understand the situation, which is not great.
terrible. Tell me something. So your character, I'm going back for a minute,
No problem.
actually was kind of radicalized because he didn't want to participate. He
No.
leader in this terrible action of burning this boy. He was a follower, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the question is, could you, because you went into his character, but you had to relate to the character, to the people who surrounded, like his cousins, like his uncle, like,
Yeah.
can you understand the push to radicalize and how young, uh, not only religious, of course, and not only ultra religious, but how young people are driven and being radicalized to act like this willingly
or
or because they
unwillingly.
are weak.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand the process a little bit?
Yeah. So there are some actors who believe in replacements. For example, I'm talking to you and I'm thinking about my mother. I um I do it from time to time, but I'm not really. I'm not a. I'm not really. I don't really practice it a lot. I like what I love to do is just to be in the actual character that I'm doing, and not to replace everything, anything. Just to be in the situation. To we called it to dive deep, and I think the directors that I worked with, Chagai Levy and Joseph Sider and Taufik Abuhel, they
Amazing directors.
amazing, the three of them, and
Yes.
they didn't, they didn't let me. I didn't have another choice but just to dive so deep with them together, and I think that's because Avishai, my character is very very gentle,
Yes.
but
Very
he
vulnerable.
was going very
Vulnerable. Sensitive.
vulnerable, very very vulnerable. Yeah, but he found himself participating in a very very intense act. So how could he do that? Just
Basically, the
But
way that this miniseries was put together is they packed the ingredients in a way that they led you quite easily into a situation without showing all the worst parts of the whole story, and they just created a mood and they explained the sub situation, the big situation, and everybody just went along in the box together with the creators. So it gives you really the range of processing of all the sides there are presented in the whole belly button of the problem in the region, which is it's beautifully done, but it's very hard to follow.
yes, yes.
Very hard to follow.
Also, so when you went and stayed in the yeshiva at the beginning, like the first step to enter the character and this and the context and everything, what did you take with you from them? Visiting and staying in the yeshiva. What did you take from it?
I took I took this trance. They all in a trance. It's so important. It's like without no doubt that what should you do. You grow up, you know how to read, and then that's what you're doing, and they so passionate about it.
Don't
Yeah,
you envy them? No questions asked, no doubts.
it's quite easy.
Don't envy them?
No,
No.
just like and and I think in like in the world of like 2021, in like everything is kind of a mess, and everybody could be everybody they want, and you can be, which is amazing. But also I feel like I grew up in Tel Aviv, and and you actually you could do like you have all the options from
Yes.
Right.
all the aspects of life. You have all the options, and I thought about it and was like, okay, they have one thing that they know that they will do before they even were born.
Right.
And
There's no choice. Um, the, all the crowds that you were playing with in this film, that these are many groups that they have no choice and they're being pushed into a clash
yeah,
situation and nobody has a choice. But I want to give you some air because I see, it's a big load in the morning to
Oh
dive
no,
into
he's
this.
really
Yeah.
enjoying himself. He's flying
Like,
with his thoughts.
but
yeah,
Right.
symbolically, right after you came to the States to the tour with the band visit, uh, where your father is the lead actor,
mm,
first on Broadway and then the tour. And the band visit is semi-hopeful message about the combination, the collaboration or live together,
Yeah.
following a mistake by
Yeah,
the
you have to give a
Egyptians
log
and the
line. You have to
Israelis.
give a log line. You have
So
to tell us what
just
it is.
tell us the synopsis
Yeah.
of this thing, because after our boys to come to the States and tour with the band's visit is like a redemption, like
yeah.
finally, yeah.
Can you summarize what it's about?
So yeah, I would just say before. So we opened the first national tour of the band's visit at June 2019, and Our Boys aired on HBO at August
Oh, wow.
2018. Like, so yeah, so I found myself like talk and interview about both projects together, and it was kind of funny because like you know both of them are about like the Middle Eastern situation, but the band's visit, it's about everything but politics,
But
and
you
Our Boys, it's about nothing but politics.
right.
So
That's the schizophrenic
No, it's
situation.
almost like
Yeah.
the band visit is very humane. It touches a lot about the good of people.
yeah.
And our
No,
boys,
no, no,
that the devil in us.
no, I don't want to say good or bad people, but just like just
Oh, come on.
oh,
You
no,
boys
not
burn a kid. You burn a kid.
But you see many more angles in
Yes,
our
but you
boys. It's
still at
not
the end of the
only
day,
about
at
the
the end of the
band.
day, you burn the kid.
Yeah.
What can I tell you? But anyway, so talk about
I didn't.
I know. So what it's about the
um,
Band's visit.
band's visit.
so the band's visit is about a group of musicians from Egypt, from the Alexandria Police Orchestra,
They're
and
already laughing.
It's a great.
yeah,
He's
and
very
they find themselves accidentally in a tiny town in the suburb of
Cotton
Israel,
Town, yeah.
yeah.
and even like a shikun, like I don't know how to say
Neighborhood.
it.
But poor neighborhood,
Poor neighborhood, yeah. So
people with no
uh,
hope almost.
yeah, and like they were trying
Lots of
to
people.
to come to Petah Tikva,
Petah
and they
Tikva is
found
another hole. Well, it's not true.
No, the Petah Tikva
Well,
is a
it's
huge
my
city
husband.
in the
right.
middle of Israel.
Yeah, my husband was born there, so I shouldn't say that. Yeah, but wait a minute, for us, who are everybody knows from Square Dizengoff,
This
Yeah.
is not
we
fair.
grew up. Petah Tikva is I don't know, like Idaho for Manhattan. Who was born in
When
Manhattan.
you grow up in the middle of Tel Aviv or the middle of New
Yeah,
York, it's not
yeah,
like there's no other
There is
place.
no other
This is
place.
it, and that's
yeah.
it.
No, just
But
from here to here, and there's no world after.
but Petah Tikva is older than Tel Aviv
I know,
and
I know.
big,
I know,
and
I'm
this
just
is
It's a big city.
yeah.
okay. So they come to this,
Yeah,
forgotten.
so instead of Petah Tikva, because of their accent, they say Beta Tikva because they don't have pe in Arabic. They have be. They replace it. So then they find themselves in this tiny neighborhood, and they just they understand that they are not in the right place, and then they check the bus and they said that they missed the whole bus, like they missed the last bus
The
just
whole
arrived.
purpose of the trip was gone.
Yeah, and then the people that they meet, which is like a cafe owner.
She's amazing.
Who,
Unfortunately, she passed
She
away,
passed away.
Ronit Al-Kabatz,
yeah,
in the original
R.I.P.
movie. Yeah.
And her employees hosting them for the night. And and of course you have like the tension between like Jews and Arabs and Israelis and Egyptians and but the movie or the musical, it's about this night that they are hosting them, and you have like three narratives, three four narratives, and in this night both sides just talk about love and fear and death and life
Human
and
emotions. Yep.
Yeah, like we
yeah,
share,
yeah,
yeah, like everything
and
we share, everybody around the world.
Yep.
Doesn't matter where you're from.
yeah, and they actually, as I said, they talk about anything,
The-
about everything but politics.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, so there is,
How do they accept you in all the places that you've been? It's not New York with the Jewish community and
yeah,
everybody feels relates to the Middle East. It's really places that they have nothing to do with us.
yeah.
doesn't matter.
I
Why?
think people in those times. No, I think no, because like like in New York is like very like there are so many races and cultures and languages here in the street all day long,
Right.
and I think that in the time of 2020, like in those ages, like 2019, 2020, 2021, you know in the same year that we were on tour with the band's Visit, so Parasite won the Oscar, which is like in foreign language, and like like they don't speak like a word in English. Like the director, when he had his speech in the Oscar, in the Academy Awards, when he won best feature film, best foreign film, best director, best everything, he has a translator because he couldn't speak English at all.
Yes.
So I think we're in a time that America is more open to different stories, different accents, different people, different cultures, and different faces. And I think that even in the obviously, so when we came to Washington D.C. and Toronto and Chicago and Philadelphia. So so
That's
places
another
like that, yeah. And you have a lot of like Jewish and Middle Easterns and Israelis like communities all over. But when we came to smaller cities, it was very interesting and it was very nice because they love the show, and most of the time the houses were sold out, and like it was such an
But let's
experience.
think about it. It's a very good, well-written musical, and of course, the original was also very, and good material. Toward somewhere toward after the middle,
This is the
it's
ideal
open
situation.
up.
Yeah.
It's open up to
Yeah.
universal questions and people. And so I believe that people can share and identify and join a journey of almost everything which is well written and honest and genuine.
But this is the
Yeah.
obvious thing when you deliver art, if it's good, if it
Yeah,
crosses
it's
the lines.
obvious, but
But
it's the truth.
still, he's an Israeli actor. He came to the States. He toured places that he never saw, never heard, never knew. He brings material that nobody knows what he's talking about in a language that nobody heard before. I'm not talking about the big cities. Did you have Arab crowds coming to see you?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
they talk to you after the show?
I remember uh I remember one situation. It was in Washington DC, and it was this Arab boy that I think he was in my age, and he came over and he was like, "Hey, I really enjoyed your part. I really enjoyed your show." It was like, "Thanks." And it was like, "What's your name?" Then it was Ahmed. It was, where are you from? He said, "From Egypt." Then he asked me, what's my name? I said, "Adam." He was, "Where are you from?" I said, "From Israel." And we just looked at each other eyes like smiled and like hugged, and I were like, good luck, good luck.
I saw you. Acknowledgement is really important.
Right.
He acknowledge that you are Israeli. You acknowledge it.
Yeah,
It's
but
okay.
I think after he saw a show like that, and after I was like, so we were in the midst of like this emotionally. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter where you're from. Like we all
You-
together, and it's and when I'm and unfortunately maybe it's kind of a sad tone, but when I'm thinking about this moment now, like he just asked me where I'm from, and I was Israel, and I had no problem. And now, in the time that I'm here in New York for a week and more, I said like literally, I said I'm from France. I said that I'm Latin. I said that I said so many things, but not saying I'm Israeli,
Wow. But
which is
listen, I want to tell you something. We talk about again today, and I just wonder because you meet young people here, right?
Mhm.
yeah.
So today on the New York Times, there was a big article about Jewish identity
Hmm.
and how much young people here, there is less and less young people who identify with Judaism because of what's going on. And I wonder, when you talk to young people, do you see like something um, weak in their identity? They talk to you
I
about it?
don't, I don't think I don't think that weak it's the right word. I think it just like, as I said, we're in an age that, like, I know a lot of people who just like they don't adapt any religion. It's just like their mother is Christian, their father is Jewish, and they're like, whatever.
What do you think about it?
I will celebrate with you guys Hanukkah and with you guys Christmas, and like that's kind of like, I think it's a small part of a very very
Big
large conversation about
What do you feel about it?
gender and about sexual orientation and about the religion that you wanna practice. And I think it's we're in this age that yeah, that people like, okay, so I was born Jewish, but
But
I'm
why
not.
do you choose to tell that every time that you're from someplace else and not stay consistent to your real origin?
And this time, because it's scary.
It is dangerous. I'm telling my son, don't talk Hebrew on the street.
Unfortunately, it's scary. I don't really want to deep into it, but uh, it's complicated. It's complicated to be Israeli nowadays. It's complicated to be Palestinian nowadays. It's complicated to be from the Middle East. It's complicated to be Jewish. It's complicated
Always complicated.
Arab.
Complicated to be Chinese
Always,
Yeah, and like yeah,
and black.
yeah. I think
it's always. But
unfortunately,
Adam, when you toured with the show, did you feel on any level that you carry a message, or you just did the job of an actor?
no. It was very important to me because also it was like the bands visited and our boys together, and I was like, I feel like I'm showing the American audience stories that they will never hear about
Yeah.
without the producers of the Broadway show and the producers of the HBO show that decided, okay, we gotta tell those stories. We
Right.
gotta tell. We gotta show those characters. So yeah, uh, I really felt like that, and it's funny that it does, but mostly it was like in the m- in the tinier or like the smaller cities, not like the major city that that a lot of people of them like they read, they already like saw shows like Fauda, Stiesel, and etc. 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 So they are like into it. They're in the circle of like consuming Israeli and Jewish content or Middle Eastern content. And
Yep. Yeah.
but yeah,
But I don't know how to put it to you, but you know that we put all our hopes in your generation because we prepared for you in a
Not
way.
all, not all,
I
some,
am,
some,
and I also
some.
tell my students, what can I do? So we prepared for you, your parents, us, kind of chaotic world. We did a lot of good things, a lot of better life. That's true. But in many ways, we prepared a kind of chaotic world. I don't know if you somehow understand that your generation has to come out of your confusion and asking questions. We don't have time.
Yeah. um,
I just put a big load on your shoulders.
yeah, I think we all will do our best. And I think, as you said, I think as long as like more and more young people, doesn't matter like where they're from and which god they're praying to, I think with more and more like young people will be together and will make art or like political organizations or I don't know, fashion designs. As long as you're doing together things and you're telling your truth and you're telling your story, it could be through everything. As long as you're doing that, I think the world will be better. And I think the world like obviously it's kind of a mess, but also there are some really good things that's going on, like
Yeah,
some really good movements and awakening that
Absolutely.
right.
There are
a lot
always
of
many good people that
uh,
work hard in order to change things.
Yeah.
Adam, do you have a
She just told it.
dream character that you would like to play in the future? One thing that you really want to do?
King Lear or Hamlet or
so so I will tell you, and thing is it does I like since I think the age of 15 or something, and I don't know if it's because uh, my nose or because my dad did it, my Abba did it. But I always wanted to do Cyrano de Bergerac.
wow. Because of what a minute, they put him in the makeup did
Yeah.
the nose.
Yeah.
Also me, by the way. I chose to have it. Go on. Sorry.
So I love this story, and I think it's like it will always will be relevant.
Why?
It's a beautiful,
So
it's a
what is in
beautiful
this character that's really compelling for you?
He's like he's a guy like he's a very poetic guy who's like really insecure and not the most handsome, and to say the least. And he's helping this very very handsome man to talk with this girl by the fact that he is like he's whispering him like
giving him the words.
love songs,
Yeah.
and he's saying that from his mouth it sounds so
Yes.
originally, but when it's like a man that is not in the in the classic definition of like what is a beautiful man, like tall and
Like your character stuttering.
excuse me.
Like your character you played
Yeah,
stuttering.
Yeah.
You cannot really be totally coherent from
yeah,
your heart and mind to your mouth.
yeah.
Some kind of what we call kurzschluss. They are circuit broken. Yeah, it's interesting that this is what you want. Do you have any desire to write or direct?
Yeah,
See, I
absolutely.
read it in your face. Facial expression is
He
so
just
important.
did. He just did.
I don't know. You know that I don't know anything about the people we invite. I just want
I
just to know them.
I,
Yes.
I directed a music video of Dudu Tassa and Barry Sakharov.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And what was the content of the song?
You will watch it. You
No,
will.
just tell me the
No,
truth.
no. It's about it was I directed and wrote it, and I was also in it. I act in it, and my father as well. And it was like a song from someone to someone's father.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. We don't have time to go into it. And it's kind of provocative. So I think, are you a son of a Ashkenazic mother and Sephardic father?
Yeah.
Okay. Growing up, did you feel anything?
Um, um, yeah. Wow. Actually, it's a deep conversation, and it's a subject that I'm thinking about and talking about a lot. Um, yeah, it's very deep. I really love my. You know, like my parents are. You know, when I was born, they were already uh, mature. They were like 50 and 38. So I don't have like any grandparents, and my uncle passed away, but I really loved my grandparents, the Ashkenazi grandparents, and I really connected to the Sephardic Iraqi culture and roots. And yeah, and also like I found myself like participating in roles that I'm Sephardic, and most of the time, like all the time actually. And I think that is an amazing and important thing that's going on right like nowadays, that Sephardic and Mizrahi stories are being told a lot,
Yes,
and it's complicated. I think people in America who's trying to understand what's going on between Israel and Palestine also have to understand what like this thing of like Sephardic and Ashkenazi Jews,
my
like
family. Yes.
all these things. So yeah, I'm really into it, and I really love both sides. And yeah.
I think it for many years, you know, when they started to make films about the Middle East and the Arab countries, um, all the Israeli actors who came from Sephardic families, you know, they were like um, the typecast, you know, of all these characters, and they were
Yeah.
participating in all the movies many times as terrorists, many times, you know, not in the most delightful
It
angle
was
of,
stereotype.
yeah,
My
but
father.
I think that a younger generation in the United States is recognized that there are differences, and they take them a little bit differently. It's not like the old generation of the Jewish people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
room for Sephardic, there's a room for the Ashkenazi, and there's a lot of integration, and there's a lot of divisions, and
yeah,
it will take forever, you know, to have all the angles that
yeah.
it's rising, you know, the whole
Right.
subject. Yeah.
Tell me, there is any angle of yours, since I didn't know you before,
Mhm.
that we should touch? Anything in you that burst to come out now at that moment?
I think we covered a lot of things.
Yeah, right.
I think we covered, yeah, most of the,
I will
yeah.
not ask you about your secrets. I will not
I
ask
do.
you about your love life. But silly, that was very interesting.
We wish you all the success
Yes,
Thank you. Thank
and
you very
good
much.
moments in your
right.
career and life. And thank you,
We may
Adam.
ask you to come back to see if your dreams were fulfilled, like in a year
We'll
or
check
two.
on you
We'll
down
check.
the road.
And
Amen.
let's say,
Amen.
wait a minute, we have to
Thank
take a
you.
long wait.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tziki. And
Thank you,
thank you,
Tzili.
everybody.
Thank you,
See you
everybody
next
who
week.
came. Thank you so much, Adam. It was a pleasure. And you say you did inspire us.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay,
you.
see you.
Bye.
Say hello to your
Bye.